Howdy. Cinque Terres is a string of old fishing towns in Italy. One example of a Cinque Terre in media is the town from Luca. Although, similarly to the town in Luca, I'm going to be building a fictional town based on the most famous Cinque Terre, Monarola. I think I said that wrong. As you can see, I started with the surrounding rocks. At first, I built it with just stone, but I, of course, planned on coming back to texture it. After finishing this wall fully textured, I realized how weird it looks with only having rocks in this one spot, so I added just some more around, but this time I just went straight into having it fully textured. Starting with the first house, I decided to make it red, as it appears to be a very common color in these Cinque Terres. Being the first building, there's a lot of trial and error. One block that saved my life was terracotta. These buildings don't have very grand roofs, so for the most part, I'm going to just make them like this. Pretty boring, pretty basic. However, after lots of tweaks, the building was done. It turned out okay, but we're definitely going to have to come back and make some changes later on. Moving on to the next building, I decided to make it much taller as the previous one was very short. I decided to make it yellow as I thought it would nicely contrast against the red buildings. However, yellow is very difficult to work with, so after a couple attempts, I landed on this. I think it turned out really good. I also did take a couple creative liberties to add a bit more depth, although at a rough start, this one turned out amazingly. Although, it did make the other one look a bit off, so I made the red one block thinner. After that, I knew that I needed to add something on top of the roofs to make them less boring. I wasn't sure what to add, but I decided on chairs because I noticed some in some of the pictures that I used. Although this is most likely something that was added in modern day, but I think it's fine. And then I decided to leave the yellow house's roof pretty much empty for now. After wasting a ton of time, I started building my next house. I decided to make this one green. It was slightly slanted, but nowhere near as much as the red one. I also gave it an actual roof. I made it out of bricks because it nicely contrasted. I could have also made it out of mangrove, but I had already used that for the red house. After a lot of trial and error, the house was complete. Our first three buildings were done, however, it did feel a bit empty, so I added some decorations around the area of these houses. I mostly built things like barrels of fish, fishing poles, hanging signs, to lean into the whole fishing town, although most of them I ended up removing later on. I even added some fishermen. Never mind. I also decided that it would be best to fill in the gap between the houses with more houses. The next building was orange. It gave the whole thing a more full feeling, similar to real life. In certain places, I'm going to be building a second tier of houses. I decided to kick this off with a pearl violet-ish house, detailed in birch. I then filled in the space between the two houses with a super tiny red one. So far, the buildings are in the order of a rainbow. However, I am going to run out of colors eventually. So later on, we're just gonna, I don't know. For my next building, I decided that cyan was the perfect color. I slanted it in a way that makes it stand out from its neighbor. I then cleared out a large space for a fountain. However, there's one problem. Both of the fountains I tried to design myself were horrible, so I went to Google, found a super nice statue designed by Gold Robin. However, it was too large, so I gave up on the idea. In the place of the fountain, I just built a ton of houses. These houses aren't nearly as detailed as the others. They don't even have windows or doors. However, after a ton of changes and details, the new build was complete. I hope you enjoy the showcase. Now you may be able to tell that I've recently been trying some different building styles. Before I started my channel, I was 100% medieval, but I've recently been enjoying some more colorful styles. Let me know what you think.